So, first things first, I want to apologize for not uploading this sooner. I've been kind of busy, so I haven't had the proper time to sit down and actually take the time to really talk about the music that I'm going to talk about today. If you watched James's video on Godspeed You Black Emperor, which is great by the way, he sort of mentioned the band that I was going to talk about for Music Week. And that band, who arguably has one of the most difficult names to pronounce, like, ever, is the band Siouros. It's taken even me a while to learn how to properly say the name. And you'd be surprised about how many people don't actually know how to say the name right. But most of the time when people find the band, they call them by what their name looks like, and their name looks like Siouros. And the name tends to be called like tons of different things, like from Sigur Rós to Sugar Rush to Sigur Rós, like it goes on and on. But the correct pronunciation is Siouros. And on their website, they give you, there's a little pronunciation page that tells you how to pronounce the band name, the band members' names, which I can barely even pronounce at this point from being a fan for a few years. The name actually comes from the lead singer Yonsei. His little sister, her name is actually Siouros, only it's one, like, the band name is two separate words, and separately, the band name means Victory Rose. And the reason that they named their band that was because the band was formed the same day that the frontman's little sister was born. So they say that the band was born at the same time that she was born. And it has a very nice meaning to it too, Victory Rose. Now I'm going to talk about how I actually came to discover this band and how they truly made their way up on my list to become like my favorite band of all time. To this day, I still remember where I was when I first heard about the band, and I was sitting in my mom's car, like in the summer of it was like 2 years ago, and my friend, he texted me and he said, "I'm listening to this band called Sigur Rós, and they're really good, you should listen to them." And I was like, oh, okay, I'll check them out. And I looked them up, and I wasn't too impressed by what I heard. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, they're pretty good. I was very closed-minded at the time. Like, none of their songs are in English, with the exception of maybe, I think just one of their songs is in English that they've ever released. But the band sings their songs in Icelandic, their native language, and around, even when they first started recording music, they created this sort of their own language, so to speak. It's called Hoplandic or Volenska, and it doesn't even qualify as a language because in the songs, the words are sung, only they're weird, different kinds of syllables, and it's just, basically it's gibberish. The way they describe it is the same way that people sing la 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 along to music. People ask them like, oh, is it some sort of code? Is it a secret language that only you guys know what it means? And they say it really doesn't mean anything. They honestly just made it because it sounds nice, but I'm getting ahead of myself here. I really didn't get completely into the band until my friend told me about this documentary film that they released on DVD, and it is called Heima, which means home in Icelandic. And my friend said, I bought this, you should come over and watch it. I watched it and it's incredible, you need to see it. And I was like, okay, yeah, sure, why not? And I went over to his house, and I really didn't know what to expect because I've never really watched any band documentaries or anything like that before. And I swear this film is really probably the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. The film basically revolves around the band coming back from touring all over the place to do a series of free shows around Iceland for all the people that live there. And just, it's breathtaking, just from the concert footage and the footage of Iceland. Like, I can't even describe how great this film is. While I was watching it, I was just at a loss for words because I had never seen something so incredible before. It's powerful, and it's moving, and it's beautiful, and it's like tear-inducing. It's so good. By the time the film was over, I realized that this was one of the greatest bands out there today. And in all seriousness, anybody who's thinking of getting into the band, I know this sounds so cliche, but support the band and buy this on Amazon. It's like $15, and you're not going to regret it. It's unbelievable. After watching the movie, I went home and I just had to download all of their songs, all of their albums. I even bought a shirt. I just became more and more obsessed with this band, their beauty and their emotion that is just so prominent in all of their music is overwhelming in the greatest way possible. In James's video about Godspeed You Black Emperor, he talks a bit about the genre of post-rock. Some people say that Siouxsie is a post-rock band, and some people say that they're not a post-rock band. They don't write songs that are typical to the genre of post-rock, but a lot of their songs have the different elements that post-rock songs would have. Some of their songs are more on the ambient side, and some of their songs are more focused on the build-up and the climax of the song. Regardless of whether they're post-rock or whatever they are, they're incredible. One of the best things about the band is that their discography varies in such a way that no matter what mood you're in, you can find an album or a song by them that will fit your mood. For example, this album, I'm not going to try and pronounce it because I'm still learning how to pronounce everything involving this band. But in English, the album title translates to "With a buzzing in our ears, we play endlessly." This album is more so on the popish side. It tends to drift away from their more ambient side. Their album before this one was called Tak, which means thanks. And it was more of a post-rock oriented album in the sense, but the album before that one was called, well, it's really not called anything. Many people refer to it as just parentheses because the entire album itself is untitled, but the cover is two brackets. Some people call it the bracket album, some people call it the parentheses album. I call it parentheses or untitled. But that album is completely in Hopelandic, which is the language I was talking about before, where it's just gibberish, beautiful gibberish. And that album is a very, very somber, quiet, slow album. But this album, the tracks vary so much. The first track is this upbeat acoustic song with a pounding drum just going like that. And it makes you want to jump around, and it makes you want to dance, and it makes you want to run. A few tracks later, it gets to this very, very quiet song, more so the sound that they were creating in the Bracket album. Throughout the entire album, you just go from different emotions. It starts out with a very lighthearted, joyful atmosphere, and it gets a little more calm as it goes through, and then it gets more and more somber and quiet as the album comes to an end, and it's really incredible. My point is, their discography varies very much depending on which album you're listening to, and any album that you would choose can fit a certain emotion that you're feeling. It's amazing. This band is different from any other band I've listened to. They just put so much emotion and energy and pure soul into what they create. And I've never had, before I listened to this band, I never had such an emotional connection to works of music before. All of their songs just feel so close to me, and like they feel like they're my soul in a way. They're my clothing. Many people say that we should take a album by them and launch it into space so other life forms on different planets can find it and know that this is what the Earth is about. I've calculated how many times I've actually listened to all of their songs, and practically every single one of their songs has about 1,000 plays each. I like them a lot. This band can make you feel so many emotions in so many different ways. It can fill you with sorrow, it can fill you with hope, it can fill you with just happiness about being alive. They're truly the most incredible band I've ever listened to. Of course, the band isn't for everyone. A lot of people criticize them for being boring, which makes me think that they don't really get ambient music too much. But taste is subjective, as many say. So not everyone's going to love this band as much as I do. But in all honesty, buy this, or even this. All I have to say about that is just you will not regret it. Even if you don't become obsessed with them, they're still one of the most beautiful bands that I know. And just having them in your life will honestly make your life better. I'm not exaggerating. So hopefully this gives you some insight on what my favorite music is, what my favorite band is. See you next week.